Hello, fellow peasants. Today we're going to be talking about all the drama surrounding the new James Cameron 4K releases. All right, guys, so there's a lot of hoopla online over the last several months surrounding James Cameron's 4K releases of Titanic, True Lies, The Abyss, and Aliens. I'm going to preface this video with I'm not a fan of James Cameron's films overall. I like Terminator 2. I think the first Terminator is okay. I haven't seen Aliens, so I can't speak on whether I like Aliens or not. But overall, I'm not a fan of his films. I fucking hate the Avatar movies. Sorry if any of you are diehard Avatar fans, but I saw the first one and I thought it was dog shit. So, long story short, what's going on with the 4K transfers here? Well, I'm not a fan of his work, really. So I'm not someone who's been waiting around for years for these to reach 4K. So I can understand why, if you are a massive fan of his, why you could be let down, because what he's decided to do is he's gone in and he's basically scrubbed all the grain from these releases and used AI to smooth things out, restore some of the detail, to sharpen things. And at face value, does it look horrible? No. But when you take a closer look, it really is. It's not so much that it looks bad at face value. It's like the principle of it almost. You know what I mean? And yeah, there are some frames, there are some shots where you're like, damn, that looks horrible. Right? It looks over sharpened, it looks too smooth. People look waxy. And I think that the man's love of technology, his love of technology is now overriding the want or the will to preserve the film as originally shot. Like, you know, he's like, yeah, I know it's shot on film, and I know I'm removing a lot of detail by scrubbing the grain, and I'm possibly putting or taking things out by using the AI to, you know, analyze the image, but this is what I want to see, because I'm constantly wanting the best of technology. I want my films to look as new as possible. And so his hard-on for modern looks, modern techniques, it's bleeding over into his work that's 35, 40 years old. And at the end of the day, you kind of have to think about it this way. Okay, so should he be doing what he's doing to his films? For two reasons, I say no. First reason, he should not be doing what he's doing. Film is really pretty to look at. I like film grain. Not only does it have, it keeps the detail in there, you know, you're removing the detail. But, you know, like, I think it's just a nice looking texture. Grain provides a nice texture. Things on film look good. They look good. Like, I don't think you need to scrub all the grain away and make it look modern. Because no one thinks it's modern. No one's going to look at the release date 40 years from now for The Abyss and go, well, I thought this was a brand new fucking movie, but this is old. No, no one's going to think these movies are brand new. There's no need to make them look brand new by scrubbing and making everything look like it's a digital clean image, because no one thinks that they're new movies. Okay? All right? So you don't need to try to bamboozle people into thinking it looks brand new. And then the second issue is you want to keep the film as close to its original intent and look as possible. When you start getting into fucking around too much with color grading and AI and scrubbing the grain, like I'm not a fan of these films, okay? But these are major films. A lot of people love these films. These are beloved classics of his. Okay? And when you start altering the look of these films to a degree to which you're like, okay, well, this isn't the film. I mean, it is the film, but this is some weird, like, I ran my family photographs through a AI cleanup app on my phone, and it's like, yeah, that's my dad's face, but it like distorted, and it doesn't have as much grain in it, or that's mom's face or my sister's face, and the image is cleaned up, but there's something off. It looks waxy, it looks weird, like, and I've done this with photos. Like, my dad will send me some old ass photos of him when he was a kid with his siblings. And I've ran those photos through apps that remove the creases and the debris and the grain in the photos. And the AI goes through and does whatever it does. And yes, it looks clean. It looks cleared up. But on a closer look, you know, there's just something off and weird and waxy and just like artificial looking about it. You remove the natural, organic look of the original content, and that's what he's doing here. He's just, in my opinion, I would never do this. If I was a director and I shot a movie on film, I would scan it at the highest possible level I could, and I would color grade it appropriately, and that would be the fucking end all be all. I wouldn't be scrubbing, wiping, removing. I mean, maybe taking some specks out and some creases, like stains, if there was damage like that. That's one thing. But completely wiping the grain. I mean, the whole point of a 4K restoration is a lot of 4K collectors collect because they're like, I want the closest thing to a film print as possible. Okay, like I want the grain in there, I want the most detail as possible. You want the closest thing to a theatrical release as possible for your home viewing experience. Scrubbing all the grain and using AI to wipe it clean to make it look as new as possible, like, I get what he's doing. I understand it. Like, I know the guy he never liked grain. He has said that he doesn't like grain in film. He's got a hard-on for technology. His love for technology is bleeding over into these releases because he always wants things to look the most modern, the most up-to-date, the most clean, new, fresh. I get it. But at the same time, you need to respect the original look of the film. And when you're wiping away some of the when you wipe the grain out, you wipe the damn detail away. So my takeaway is this. Should he be doing it? No. Absolutely not at all. Does he have the right to do it as director? And that's something I think he does. I think he has the right to do it as the director. If this is the way he wants the films, and he never liked grain in the first place, I think that, you know, he has the right in the final say. And the reason I say that is because I don't want to have the final say up to the studios. Okay? Like, I'm not saying studios don't ever have final say in these situations or anything like that, and that the director always has final say on these transfers. But you don't want to have some sort of law passed or some sort of policy passed in Hollywood where the studio decides the final look of a transfer, okay? Because you always want the eyes of the director or the cinematographer on the film before you want suits and people who never were around during the making of the movie tinkering with it, okay? Not to say those people will always do a bad job, but they weren't there. They weren't filming. They weren't on set. They didn't have a vision for the film. You know, they're just hired hands to make the film look prettier this late in the game. So yes, I think the right to change and alter and oversee a film's restoration should always lie with the cinematographer or the director of that film. Sadly, in some cases, that's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. You know what I mean? I mean, James Cameron keeps fucking up his movies, okay? William Friedkin, before he died, he oversaw the Exorcist 4K. It's an abomination. It's a dog shit transfer. Just because you're a good filmmaker doesn't mean you have an eye or respect for the original source of the film. I mean, James Cameron, I'm not a big fan of his movies, okay? But it is well known, and he's well renowned to be a very good, if not one of the best directors of all time, okay? But that doesn't mean that you know what's best for your films. It doesn't mean you know what is appropriate when it comes to restoring one of your films that was shot on 35 millimeter, 70 millimeter, whatever, IMAX. But just because a handful of these directors fuck up their restorations doesn't mean that we should all of a sudden go, well, directors shouldn't have any say anymore. You know, we should, or anything like that. We need to hand it over to who? People who weren't directors on the film, who weren't the DPs. You know what I mean? It's just a tricky situation. And the other thing he's doing, it's not just the grain scrubbing and the AI. He's putting this teal color grading on all these films. Like The Abyss, man. I mean, like, if you look at the Blu-ray and then the 4K for The Abyss, it's almost like a completely different movie in terms of color grading, because it's like, one minute it's just like a normal color palette, and then bam, it's just like, it's like a black and white movie that they just added a teal tint to. Like, it looks, some of the shots and the comparisons I've seen just look atrocious for that. But if you like what he's doing, and you don't mind how it looks, and you don't give a fuck about scrubbing the grain or anything like that, and it looks appealing to you, by all means, fucking enjoy it. I mean, I'm not here to hate on what makes people happy, okay? I'm sure I could sit and watch True Lies or Aliens or The Abyss right now on 4K and probably have a good time, okay? And it wouldn't distract me too much, right? Watching it. It's not all about that. It's more about the principle of it. It's, don't go in and distort some of the biggest films of all time to match your tech futuristic vision of what you think they should have always looked like. I just think it's just a damn shame. But these are his films. He has the right to do them. He is the director. If that's what he likes, if this is how James Cameron likes his films to look, it's a fucking shame, but that's what he likes. And no one makes anyone go out and buy these. No one has to go out and buy these releases. That's completely up to you, the consumer. You can stick with your VHS tapes, your DVDs, your previous Blu-rays. No one needs to go out and buy these. So if you don't like that he's doing AI and scrubbing the grain and putting this teal tint on everything, just don't go fucking buy it. Just don't do it. Just keep watching your old shit. And I know that's easy for me to say because I'm not a fan of his films, really. And it's easier for me to go, well, la-di-da, too fucking bad. But, you know, I don't like the new Exorcist 4K, okay? And am I pissed about it? Yeah. But, you know what? I'm sticking to my old shit. When I watch The Exorcist, I either pop in the 1997 DVD or the 2013 Blu-ray, okay? The Exorcist on 4K is not the definitive version for me. I think it's horrible. And I just have to come to terms with that. And I think some people that, yeah, it sucks I paid for it already. But I feel like there's enough of a heads up with these releases that hopefully people don't people that are more purists don't make the leap. And I don't think they are. I think a lot of purists are seeing the warning signs ahead of time and not purchasing these. But the average viewer, they're like, wow, this looks clear. This looks good. I don't give a shit. And that's fine. That's good. You don't have to give a shit. It's just losers like me that that care about the integrity of the original source. But that's it, guys. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about James Cameron and what he's doing with these 4Ks, whether it's the drama's overblown, you think it's a abomination what he's doing. I think it is an abomination, but I think it's his right to do the abomination. I just don't want it to become a trend. I don't want this AI grain scrubbing to become a trend for future restorations and things going forward. And if he thinks he's preserving, if he's like, look, 30, 40 years from now, people don't want to look at grain. People are going to be wanting to watch digital images. And so I'm future-proofing my films for future viewing for the next 2 to 3 generations. Okay, that's fine. That's his right to do it. But no one 40 years from now is going to think it's a brand new fucking movie. Okay? Like, everyone's going to... No, it's an older movie. Okay? I don't know. Anyway, let me know down in the comments below what you guys think about it all, guys. Have a good one, peasants. Peace out. Bye-bye.